Welcome to the Vandy Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Lee. Our special guest today, Carson Fulmer, who is a pitcher for the White Sox and, of course, had 3 outstanding years for Vanderbilt, including the 2014 national title year. This show is sponsored by the Well Coffee House, a Nashville area coffee house that provides fresh roast coffee along with house-made pastries, breakfast, and lunch offerings. There are 4 locations to serve you in the Nashville area. Those are in Brentwood, Green Hills, downtown, and Bellevue. You can get more information at wellcoffeehouse.org. The Well Coffee House, where coffee changes lives. We thank our co-presenting sponsor, Wellspire, Nashville's Learning and Development Center located in the Gulch. Today's news presented by Sutherland and Belk, a family-owned injury law firm. If your loved one has been hurt in an accident, give Taylor or Russell a call at 615-846-6200. See what your rights are and if they can help. Saban Lee is going pro. The Commodore guard has 1 year of eligibility remaining. He finished his career really on a high note, getting 4 30-point games out of his last 11 at Vandy. The guest line is presented by Boll & Branch, started by Vanderbilt graduates Scott and Missy Tannen. I had no clue how comfortable sheets could be until I got Boll & Branch sheets. They are fair trade certified, meaning they are made under safe conditions by men and women treated and paid fairly. Try them for a month. You can return them for free, but you won't want to. Once you get the sheets, try the mattress. That was voted the best mattress of 2018. Go to bollandbranch.com. That is spelled B-O-L-L. Enter the promo code Vandy and get $50 off your first set of sheets. Carson Fulmer is my guest now. He is a pitcher for the Chicago White Sox. Of course, if you're listening, you probably know him as one of the stars of Vanderbilt baseball from 2013 to 2015, which remains the most successful 3-year run, not just in Vanderbilt baseball history, but probably in the history of all its athletics programs. Carson, I appreciate you joining me today. How are you, sir?
Great. No, thanks for having me.
Catch people up on your life. You were married, and I believe you said living out in Seattle. You, of course, were in the middle of spring training with the White Sox. So just tell people where you are with your life these days.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I live in the Seattle area currently with the White Sox still, and, just enjoying every time, every moment that I can get playing professional baseball and going to the field and being a Major League Baseball player. But, it's life's good. I can't complain. And, I'm going to keep pushing every day and take advantage of every opportunity that I can. Each day I can go to the field.
Well, I told you some of this off mic or off podcast, but not all of this. I have covered Vanderbilt since 2003. I've covered the major 3 sports. You were my favorite athlete that I've ever covered, not just your story on the field and how you carried yourself, but the way you treated us off the field. You were a pleasure and a joy to cover. You were also one of the greatest athletes Vanderbilt's ever had. I'm in the middle of doing a countdown of the 100 greatest athletes I have ever covered. I've not made any final decisions yet, but let's just say you're going to be at or near very top of that list. So I really appreciate you joining me today. I think this is going to be a lot of fun because, boy, the memories of covering you are among the best I've had, and I'm honored that you're with us today, not just because of the career you had, but because of the person I got to know in you just a little bit. And so thank you again for that.
No, I really appreciate it. It's very humbling. It's, obviously going to Vanderbilt was a dream come true to me, and for you to say something like that, it's I feel very honored, and I feel the same. You guys were great to me, and I really appreciate you guys, your support and all you guys did for us, making sure that everybody knew exactly what we were going through those last 3 years. So I really appreciate it.
Carson, let's start with the story of how you got to Vanderbilt. And I think your parents are a little bit older, and Tim Corbin had told me at one time that you did most of your planning for your official visits and things like that. Just walk us through the recruiting process and how you settled on Vanderbilt.
Yes. To keep a long story short, I Uh, whew, where to begin? I took it a little different route than majority of people. I actually waited till the deadline to commit to a school. I went to high school in Winter Haven at All Saints Academy. Uh, Played baseball growing up just because I loved the sport, obviously, and was given the freedom by my parents to pick and choose what exactly I wanted to play. I tried to play as many sports as I could growing up, and obviously stuck with baseball. Took it a little more seriously than the others, and started drawing a little bit of interest from college. I never really thought about playing baseball or professional baseball very much, excuse me. I found out soon that about ninth or 10th grade that I may have the opportunity to play college ball and really more importantly, just to get an opportunity to get a scholarship and help my parents out financially. And, started drawing interest from a lot of schools and, went off to summer ball, was able to draw some interest from Vandy. But not only Vandy, but a couple of schools that we played quite a bit in college. And, I remember a conversation in my sophomore year with my dad, and he sat me down and goes, son, I want to help you with this. Your mom and I want, to help you with the college process. Is there anything I can do for you? And, I looked at him and I told him, hey, Dad, listen, I think this is part of my life. This is stuff that is going to help me mature as an adult. I want to do this whole process myself. I started with handwritten letters. I was able to reach out to a lot of coaches by phone and just introduce myself. Luckily, I had my list narrowed down to 5 schools going into my senior year. I had some tough conversation with coaches, telling them that their school was that my list has been narrowed down, and it was tough, and that I may not be choosing them, but the one school that stuck out the most was Vanderbilt and Coach Tim Corbin, and Vandy ended up being my last of my 5 official visits. Came to Nashville, was treated unbelievably, and about a week before the deadline, or actually a couple of days before the deadline, I called Coach Corbin. I said, Coach, listen, I really appreciate the opportunity. I'm a very high-driven academic guy as well, and this one definitely the place for me, and I appreciate the opportunity. And little did I know that may that may start the best 3 years of my life. I'm so honored to be soon a Vanderbilt grad, in which I'm about to re-enroll this summer for classes, and it's an opportunity that I'll never forget, and it has definitely set up my life for success. And I'm very grateful to have the opportunity to be a Commodore.
If you didn't go to Vanderbilt, where would you have gone?
You know what? My dad went to Florida State. He is a big Seminole. It kind of helped me drive a little harder when we played Florida very much, because he was not a big Gator fan. But I may have stayed in state, but I don't really know. I really had it down actually to Vanderbilt or Virginia. Honestly, I know that I really haven't told a lot of people that, but that's what made the last couple of championship games, the last couple of years, really special to me. Not that there was any conflicting issues or anything like that, but it was pretty surreal. I took those 2 schools seriously, very seriously, and I wanted to get out of the state of Florida. I think that when it all came down to it, I wanted to get out. I wanted to get out of my comfort zone, and I really wanted to experience something new. I feel like that was the only thing that was going to help me mature and become a man. So I was definitely able to do that. And like I said earlier, little did I know that those would become the best 3 years of my life, and years in which I've met people that have changed my life completely.
Those games that you guys have had with Florida over the years were just epic. I mean, just incredibly competitive contests. I got the feeling you guys didn't like each other very much. What was it like on the inside, that rivalry with the Gators?
You're right. We didn't like each other at all. We still don't like each other very much. That's just my competitive side speaking. Obviously with the relationship that Corbs has with Sully, I think that there's that best friend, competition where, off the field, they really enjoy the relationship that they have, but on the field, they want to win. I think that, me personally, growing up not liking the Gators very much through my dad or my family, I think that kind of drove a lot of it. But I don't know. I honestly don't know what it was. Man, we had some incredible games against them, and I have a couple of Gators in the White Sox organization now, and we always joke about the times and memories that we had playing against each other. So it's still there. I don't think it'll ever go away, and those are definitely games that I'll always remember. Win or loss, those were incredible, and definitely some good memories that I've had playing against them in my career.
Let's rewind to your career. You come to Vanderbilt, your first season is 2013. That, of course, the year that you guys went 26-3 in the league. That's a record I don't think will ever be broken. Now, that's a season that you can look at two ways because it was so incredible. I think you guys were 48-7 at one point, which is unheard of for a major college baseball team. Heck, for a college baseball team, period. And yet that ends with that loss to Louisville and Nashville before you get to Omaha. Just unpack that 2013 season and tell me how you remember that 7 years later.
Oh, what an incredible team. We were pretty much unbeatable. I think it has to start with obviously the older leadership that we had on that team. I think that we had a lot of young guys come in that would turn out to be pretty successful. I think that we were groomed very well by the veteran leadership that we had. They took us under our wing very soon once we got onto campus, and we were just so close. We were such a close team. The results obviously were very unfortunate because I think if we get past Louisville there, we have a very good chance of going on a national championship run. I don't know. I think that just, again, I think it groomed my class, or our class, especially for the time that we were there. We were so close. It couldn't have been a better team personality wise with Kemp and Yaz and Harrell and wow, Stephen Rice. It was an incredible time. It was an incredible team, and we still all look back on that team as being probably one of the best teams ever played at Vandy. But it was I think a lot of those memories are pretty clear. Obviously, all my memories at Vandy were very clear, but the ones in 2013 I think really stick out the most because as a freshman and group of freshmen that were going to play there and have a lot of success, a lot of stuff was new. There was a lot of uncertainty in terms of just trying to get the feel and trying to do the right, the things things the right way. I think that that was a very special year, I think, moving forward, and especially continue on to the next couple of years that we all played there.
2014 was a weird time because you lose Tony Kemp, you lose Mike Yastrzemski, Connor Harrell, Conrad Gregor, Kevin Zomek. I think Spencer Navin was gone after that year too. Lots of
Yes, sir.
guys that had played a lot of great baseball for you, and you come off that 2013 season that didn't end the way you want. But I remember this very clearly, Carson. I was at the time, my son was born just across the street from your campus. It is what is now St. Thomas Hospital. It was Baptist, I believe, at the time. But I remember
Mm-hmm.
I had an interview scheduled with Tim in his office, and I literally just drove across the street a day or two after my son was born while we're still there. And I remember having this funny feeling when I left. It's like you have all these new faces, but boy, you guys had some talent. It was you and Walker Bueller and Xavier Turner, some good players left over. I
Mm-hmm.
just had a weird feeling that that was your year. Did that ever cross your mind before the season of 2014?
We were very hungry. We were very disappointed with how 13 ended. I think that with that being, I shouldn't say it's a reality check, but with that being our first season, we knew what we had. I think that again, our relationships were starting to build very, very fast, and I think we started getting really comfortable with one another. And obviously, it was very upsetting to Corbs. He's always going to say that he was upset for us. I think that really hit him hard with the previous year because he knew exactly what we had, and with him losing a bunch of seniors and older guys, we really had to take, I think, more. I think we had to take a lot more in and realize that we have the team to do this. We have the leadership to do this, and I think that I think when we kind of stepped back, all of us knew exactly what we needed to do, and that was the younger guys step up. We need younger leadership on this team. With having a 26-3 season in the SEC, it's very unheard of, like you said, earlier. But all of us, quote unquote, young guys, we've been there before. Now we necessarily haven't gone that far in playoff baseball, but we've had success in the league. And we wanted to make that next push, and we all embraced it. Bottom line, we all embraced the opportunity to go out and play and have success, and we were going to take each and one of us with us along the journey. And I think that was a great opportunity, and a moment that we'll cherish for the rest of our lives. To be honest, it was a very special year, and luckily we were very successul.
Heading into 2014, I think a lot of us, me included, figured you'd be pitching out of the rotation. Of course, you made it for a pretty good closer as well. You're pitching in the pen to start the season. What were your thoughts on that?
Whatever I could do to help the team. I know that sounds pretty cliche, but I had so much respect for my teammates. I had so much respect for what Corbs was trying to do that I was just going to sit back and work as hard as I possibly could, turn any type of role to pitch and have the opportunity to go out and help Vandy win. I think that was just the number one goal. We all wanted to win. We didn't care what job we had. We didn't care about who was going to do what or when we were going to do it. It was any opportunity that we had to go out there and help us win was big. And I certainly wasn't going to be one to stand up and ask for a job or march into Corbs' office and go, Corbs, this is what I'm thinking. I want this opportunity. I want this job. I just, anytime he handed me the ball and told me to go get it, and that was it. If I pitched 2 days in a row and needed to pitch a third, if I needed to go out and pitch 140 pitches in one game, it didn't matter. It was go time, and I was able to learn that from a lot of veteran guys early on in my career at Vandy, and it was a blessing. I think I still have this mentality in my career now, and I was just willing to do whatever it took for us to put a W in the win column.
Carson, I'm going to walk through various junctures of that season. Here's where I'm going to start. Okay, part of the way into that season, you guys have won 23 straight regular season series on the weekend, which was just crazy. And then you get into conference play. I think you beat LSU first in the first weekend, but then it gets a little tougher. You lose 4 of your next 5 series. So all of a sudden you're used to winning every week, and all of a sudden you're not. That said, the last one in that series was Arkansas, where you go into the rotation and you win that game, and it really, even though you lose the series, that starts the turnaround. What are you guys thinking as a team around that time?
Again, another special team. I think that I think that was a little bit of the turning point. I think at that point we were still trying to figure out who was going to take control of the team. I think that we definitely wanted to get off and start SEC play on the right foot, but I think that that was kind of the push in the right direction for us as a team. Honestly, that's kind of a tough question to answer because, you kind of have to sit back as much as you want to push as a team, and, as much as you want to personally help influence a team. You just have to respect that everybody's going to get their job done. They're going to play their role, and sometimes there's a period in that season where you just have to sit back and you just have to play, right? It's not too early and it's not too late, as long as we're playing the game the right way and we're trying to establish ourselves within our culture is the most important thing. And I think that was that part of the season where we were starting to play pretty good ball. We weren't trying to be perfect, but that was where we kind of just sat back and just let each other play. And I think that was the time that we needed in order to kind of get things rolling a little bit.
Yeah, and after that, the schedule eases up. You guys get hot. I think you have a big win or two against Florida later that year. You go into the regional. You're hosting your 41-18. Tyler Beatty goes out and throws one of the best games of his life against Xavier on that Friday night game. That sets the stage for you in Game 2 against Oregon. You throw 122 pitches. You give up 2 runs in 8 innings. You guys end up getting the win that night, which Game 2 in a regional is huge. Once you win that game, you're normally going to win the regional. What do you remember about that night?
Honestly, the one moment that sticks out to me the most is, I think that I remember Peyton laying down that ball, that bunt down the first base line. And I remember the ball. I'm not the fastest guy on the team, just to say that, but I remember it trickling a little past me. And, if you've gone to our practices or training sessions, as Corbs would probably like me to say, but PFP is one of the most important things for him and for us at the time. I mean, that was, if we can get an out as a pitcher and be an athlete, we're taking that opportunity. I remember Peyton, the leadoff guy, laying that bunt down and it getting past me, and I don't know what happened, but I just remember thinking, hey, this is an opportunity to kind of spark the team a little bit. I'm gonna grab it, I'm gonna dive, and I'm gonna try to get him. And I remember doing that, and I think from that point on, I was ready to rock. I mean, that was that moment that needs to happen to a player where he kind of just settles into the game, and we were all excited. I mean, this is finally an opportunity we get to go into regional play. This is the opportunity for us to get going for this year and make a run in the national title. And man, I think that that sparked a lot of opportunities for all of us. Again, I can't talk without getting emotional about the team that we had and the guys that we had on the team. But that game, I mean, wow, I think that was, I mean, Oregon was really good at that time too. Really good. That was a good team that we were playing. And I think that was a game when we kind of realized that we have the pieces to run for this, and it's time to go. It's really time to go and nail this down.
So the next night, you're in the dugout. You guys are going into the ninth tied, and then Ro Coleman gets that infield single that gets through the left side. You guys win the regional. What's going through your head at that moment as you watch that unfold?
Extremely happy. I think that's the time we kind of knew that this is it. This is the time we're going to need to step on the gas a little bit, step on the pedal, and make a run for it. I mean, just across the board, I think that, guys that were carrying us all through the year really stepped up. Everybody just did their part. Everybody did their part. The trust that we had in one another was incredible. And I think that was, I don't know. I think that whole series really stands out because, we're in the position now to get to where we were the previous year. And it's time to take this opportunity and take full advantage of it and really make a push of what we all thought was definitely on the horizon, and that was to win a national championship.
Okay, let's reset the stage from there. You win your regional, of course. You're supposed to play Indiana if the seeding goes, and it would have been up there. Instead, Stanford beats him. I believe Tommy Edman, who's now a starter with the Cardinals, walked them off with the home run. So you're unexpectedly playing Stanford. You guys end up winning that super regional in 3 games. I think you pitched game 2 against Cal Quantrill. Pitched pretty well. That's the game you guys didn't win because they walked you guys off with the home run. But just walk us through your memory of that super.
I actually, kind of rewinding a little bit. I remember watching the last game when Indiana was playing Stanford at Indiana. And I remember playing, or at least watching Schwarber, right? We were all joking about him and the run that he was on and the success that he was having. And yeah, Stanford ended up walking him off. I remember watching that in the dorm room with a bunch of the guys, trying to figure out who we were going to play next. But if I'm not mistaken, I think that was the game where if Indiana won, we would go to Indiana, but since Stanford won, we played at home. And
that's correct. Yes,
I could be completely wrong, but I remember we were all kind of shocked, like, oh my, well, we were supposed to go on the road, we get to stay home. This is unbelievable. This is great, right? And I think that we had a long night in the dorm room. I actually, it was probably pretty close to maybe a dozen of us in one dorm room while watching this game, and we kind of look back and go, man, this is the best case scenario. We get to stay home, we get to play in front of our fans, and make another run at this. And Stanford was on a roll at that time. We knew what we were going to be facing. But that's a series I think that our team really wasn't going to let the opportunity pass. I think that we all knew what was in front of us. We weren't going to let this opportunity of going to Omaha, mess us up going into next year. We wanted to quote unquote conquer the opportunity and make sure that we took full advantage of it. And this is it was a series of games that I'll never forget. Obviously, if you really look at, maybe it's in the highlight video or not, but the celebration that we had after that game, or that series was incredible. The whole Vanderbilt community got behind us, and man, what an opportunity, what an experience for all of us. And now we're moving on to what has been driving us all year, and that's to make a run at a national championship. And we definitely had the pieces to do it.
I remember Tim told me after that season that, of course, Adam Ravenel gets walked off in that game with the home run. I want to say it was Austin Wilson, but I don't remember who it was for sure. Mm-hmm. And he tells me, he said, I look in that dugout, and he said, I know immediately they're going to be fine by the way they reacted. What do you remember about being walked off and kind of hitting the reset button for Game 3?
There wasn't a panic. I think that Corbs trusted us so much that he knew we were going to wake up and, not do more. I think that we had so much trust in one another that, we knew exactly what we were going to need to do in order to make that next step. I think what made us so strong is that when you go to Vanderbilt, and a lot of players can tell you this, there's a standard that needs to be met. There is things that are expected of you to do. But when you look at Coach Corbin as a coach, a head coach, you look at, I wasn't around the hitters a lot, but Travis Jewett at the time that he was there, Scott Brown, the training staff, the strength coach, everybody, I think that there was a trust level that they had with us that we were going to do everything we needed to do in order to be in the best position to go out there and win. And they held us to a high standard. I think going into that third game, there was no panic. The coaching staff let us do our thing. I think that that's what made us extremely tight moving further into the postseason. And, I think that we have to give them a lot of credit for this whole thing, because without a panic, without, without certain stress, I think that we're not as good as a team as we were. I think that it really helped us mature a lot. And I remember going into Game 3 and just kind of sitting back and laughing. This is great, guys. This is the opportunity I've been waiting for. I mean, this is it. Now or never. And we all as a team embraced that. And wow, what a third game. It was definitely an incredible time.
Well, of course, you win that one. You then go to Omaha, which was your first trip to Omaha. You take the ball in the opener against a really good Louisville team that you just seem to play every year in the postseason, no matter what. I remember your teammates take you to a 4-run lead at some point early in that game. You leave in the 6th with the lead. I remember Brian Reynolds made a great catch against the wall and left early in that game, I think, to bail you guys out a little bit. And you guys hold on and get the Game 1 win out there, which is huge. Walk us through that night.
We're playing Louisville, I think that, or should I say Louisville, because, I have a couple of teammates who played for them currently, and they get on me all the time for saying it wrong. But, that was a team that pushed us out the previous year. I think that kind of all in itself explains the entire situation, but they had another great team, another great opportunity, and for us to go out there and make that next step and carry on into the tournament. But it was Omaha, was game one of an opportunity that we all wanted to experience. And I think that, we kind of obviously playing on a bigger stage, playing in front of more people. It was an environment that we weren't very close, we weren't very, used to yet. And, I think that was kind of the icebreaker. We got that game luckily under our belt. We were able to carry on into the tournament and became game one of a run that we'll never forget.
Okay, walking through the rest of that regional, you guys bump up against some adversity. You have that weird game with Irvine that you win. Walker Buehler goes 5 and third, but you lose Xavier Turner right before that game, who was your third baseman. Really great glove to have you or behind you in the field. Tyler Campbell goes in that spot. He barely plays all year. Of course, you know the rest of that story. And then you go down, you lose game one to Texas in the bracket final. You're on the hill for the elimination game. I think you struggled with your control a little bit. You end up winning that game because Tyler Campbell gets that infield single to win it. Walk us through your memories of that night.
Well, TC was one of my roommates in my freshman year. It was me, Rhett Wiseman, and Tyler Campbell. Man, did he take full advantage of his opportunity. We needed him bad. He's one of those guys that we all kind of look at and obviously a great teammate, great guy off the field. A guy that I was extremely close with. We needed him. You always hear the stories of that one certain guy stepping up and taking full advantage and helping a team win. That was him. We are very, very happy that he was on our team. And a guy that we were very lucky to play with while we were at school. I think that, to keep a long story short, I think that we were the team that if you throw us against a wall, you put our backs up against the wall, it's not a good situation. It's not a good opportunity. It's not the best thing you could possibly do because we're going to find a way to win. And I think that that was certainly us. We weren't going to let this opportunity get away from us. And, man, we just never gave up. And everybody did everything they could to get through it. And I think that's what made this team so special, especially these games moving forward, into the championship.
Well, you're right about the backs against the wall and you guys playing your best because you move on, you play Virginia in the title series, you get Nathan Kirby, and I mean, he's just dealing in that one. You're down 2-0 early. And then comes the most memorable inning probably in the history of your program. You've got one out and nobody on in the third. You roll through and you get 9 runs. Tyler Campbell's 3-run triple was a big part of that. How do you remember that inning watching that from the dugout?
Oh man, it was surreal. I think that I think that we all know one rule in baseball, and that's obviously it's not over until it's over. I think that people are very clear of that, and they know that. But we knew that we had the team to do it. I think that we knew that very early on in the season. It's one of those things where you just, as a player, you keep pushing, you keep playing the game the right way, you keep playing the game that you've been playing all year. You try not to get excited because there was a lot of game left. Ninth inning, there's still a lot of game left. You have to let the game play out. But I think a lot of us internally were going, man, this is it. We're on a roll right now. We're head to head with a team that is on a huge run themselves, that have unbelievable talent. but this is it. This is us. No matter what happens, we're going to respond. And I think that was wow. Well, what a team! I think that we didn't say a lot that series at all. We knew we were there for each other, but we just wanted to play the game the right way and just let our abilities take over. And luckily, we had the right people doing the right things. And I could talk days about that last series. It was obviously a series that I'll never forget, and we will be one that I tell for the rest of my life.
Well, you survive that night. You get that big inning early. You guys hang on late. The next night, you get the start, pitch well, but that one doesn't go your way. And then we fast forward to game three, and it's the seventh inning. John Norwood's at the plate. I think you guys had not homered as a team since like May the 16th. It was impossible to get balls out of the yard in Omaha, and Norwood does it in that case to put you guys up a run. You hang on. What do you remember about that at bat?
Oh man. Oh man, I don't even know where to begin. If you look at a championship series, there's always one play or there's one event that takes place that obviously changes the complexion of the series. I think that, Norwood was big for us all year when it comes down to it. It's scary when that guy got his arms extended against a premier closer. It was his time to shine. It was his opportunity to take advantage and put us over that hump. And again, just time after time, just guys stepping up to the plate, taking full advantage of their opportunity to have success. And it was kind of surreal, but after that home run, it set up a save opportunity for Adam Ravenel, who we spoke about earlier. That was his time to take full advantage opportunity. I don't know. I'm speechless about it because of the excitement we all had once we saw the ball go over. Obviously, it's a moment in Vanderbilt history that will always be remembered. I'm that was the moment. That was what took us to the next step. And I think that just watching that from the dugout with my arms around my teammates, just waiting for one of those moments to happen, and it did. Yes, very exciting. Obviously, a moment that I'll always remember, I'll cherish, and we'll talk about for the rest of our lives.
What was that like watching the last inning from the dugout? Because you had Virginia leads off that inning, and I don't remember who the hitter was, but he hits one towards the gap. Looks like it's going to be a double. Rhett Wiseman gets a perfect jump on that, makes maybe the best defensive play of his life, at least at Vanderbilt. And then Ravenel strikes out Cogswell and Panero to end it. How nervous are you guys in the dugout as you're watching all that unfold?
We were never nervous, I don't think. I think that we were extremely excited, obviously. But that's what made our team so great, and that's nobody was ever nervous at any time. I think that as a player, you get jitters, right? You have that feeling deep inside that you want that first pitch in the inning to be over. I think that what made us so special is we were just extremely obviously excited that we were put in this opportunity to win a national championship. We relied on Ravenel all year. Another one of my roommates who I was able to spend a ton of time with, that was his time. He was a bulldog. He was a guy that took the ball whenever we needed him to go out and pitch. And, I think that we wanted to enjoy that inning. I felt like for me personally, that inning was in slow motion. I think that I pretty much remember every single pitch that Rav threw. wow. I mean, this was our chance. This was the opportunity that we've been waiting for this whole year, ever since we were at Vandy as a group. And, no one else more that we'd want on the mountain than Rav, and him sealing the deal would put us in Vanderbilt history, and put our team down as the first baseball team to ever win a national championship in Vanderbilt history. And wow, this I'm speechless, really. I it's been 5 years now, 6 years now since that time, and there's so many emotions and thoughts running through my head that it's sometimes hard to even explain the feeling that we all had. But wow, I'm so thankful to be a part of that team and go down as a national championship Commodore. I mean, that's I think that kind of just says it all.
It's interesting to hear you answer that, because if I'm in that uniform, that dugout, I'm probably just trying not to throw up in the ninth inning from nervousness. But maybe that's what made you guys so great. You talk about the opportunity and enjoying the moment in slow motion. How were you guys able to do that as a team?
Oh man, you just go through so much. You go through so much. You prepare every single day. As important as school was and is, we wanted to get done with class so we can get on the field. This was, as you probably have heard Corb say, that field was our playground, right? Once we all stepped on that field, this was our time to grow. This was our time to get together and really become extremely close. That was our time of therapy, right? As all of us, as student athletes, getting on the field and playing the sport that we love, it was therapy for all of us, and especially for me personally. But, that's just who we were, regardless of who we're playing, what our job was to do, team playing well, team playing bad. We still had one goal, and that's just to play our best baseball, let everybody take care of their job, and we're going to have success. And even to that last inning, same situation. Everybody felt the same. What a great opportunity to have on that stage in front of those people, our fans especially, and to just take a full opportunity and take full advantage of what we've been working on all year. And that's to go out there and win that game. And that's exactly what we did.
Let's go to the postseason 2015. That, of course, your last year. You strike out 11 and beat Lipscomb in the regional opener. I remember the Indiana game. Dansby Swanson late in the game has a huge home run and then makes that great defensive play going to his right. From that point on, I think everybody knew what was going to happen. You guys beat Radford 21-0 on a rainy Monday. That was your last game ever at Hawkins Field. I remember you playing left for an inning. Rewind to that 2015 Nashville Regional, if you would, please.
And I don't mean to say this in a bad way at all, or sound cocky or anything. I wanted to preface that obviously first, but we've been there and we're just going to do it again. This is us. We've always been deadly, but man, having that experience, we're coming for you. We all didn't have to say that, never needed to, but look out, because the boys are tighter than ever. Coming off a national championship run, which after that season we really made a point to kind of push that aside, right? Not completely forget about it, but help that championship kind of motivate us into the next one. And that regional obviously was last regional for a lot of us. Very emotional. Again, obviously we put ourselves in a good position in the year, but to be able to play that regional at our home field, Wow. I mean, obviously a very emotional time for me. You know, I don't know. I think that every time I go back to Vandy, every time I step on that field, that regional steps out to me. Obviously, with that being the last games that a lot of us played there, but at that point, you kind of have to put those emotional feelings aside. We still have a job to do. Let's go ahead and win this. Let's move on to Illinois, who we would eventually play. Let's just do this whole thing over again, and we were motivated. We were scary, really scary team. We were definitely one that was going to be really, really hard to beat. Really hard to beat.
Well, I know you guys don't think about it this way because your coach would kill you if you did, but you guys go to Illinois. It felt like you were going to win the series before it started. Honestly, I remember everybody had you winning that series. You go out, you throw 6 in the third, you beat Illinois 13-0 in the opener, you win 4-2 the next day. That just felt like a chance or an opportunity where you guys had been there, they hadn't. You guys were peaking at the right time. I just would have been shocked if you had lost that super regional.
Yeah, again, I don't mean to say this in a bad way or, come off as being cocky or whatever. That's just not the type of guy that I am, but we weren't going to lose. You can ask anybody on that team. Just wasn't going to happen. That wasn't even a thought for us, right? And I think that, winning that first game was obviously important. We were facing a very good pitcher at the time. We came out and and on fire, like we never missed a step. One of those moments, I think it was in game 2 or it was in game 2, that really stands out to me was we were facing Tyler J, who a lot of us played with the previous summer with Team USA, left-handed starter, extremely good. What was going to be a very high pick in the draft, which he was, so on and so forth. And I remember the wind blowing in. It seemed like it was blowing in at about 40 miles an hour from my field. And I remember sitting in the dugout, obviously ready to pitch in case I needed to, but throwing 100 and some odd pitches the night before. Probably wasn't going to get in, but as I was ready to go. But I remember sitting in the dugout with Dans, and he was sitting there looking out on the field, and this is how confident our team was. And this is some dugout dialogue, I guess, if you want to call it. But I remember going over to him. I'm like, hey, man, listen, great opportunity for us to do this thing over again, right? To make the next step to Omaha. And he was just dialed in on Tyler J, warming up. And I'm like, Dan, you all right? Like, everything going okay? He goes, Dan's very confident. He's an incredible player. At that time, was the best player in college baseball. He looks at me and goes, I got him. I'm like, kind of knew what he was thinking about. I kind of like caught his drift. I was kind of feeling. He goes, I got him. And I'm like, all right, man. Like, yeah, of course. We'll go ahead. And he goes, Peter in. I got him. 0-1. I'm going to do it. Sure enough, goes up to the plate. Dan hits a line drive that would seem probably 150 miles an hour through the wind and put it over the left field wall for a home run. And, me personally, I don't know if a lot of guys heard, but I kind of stood. I remember walking over to the bench and sitting down after that whole thing was done and going, wow, if our team's thinking like this now, especially our best player, I think we're going to be able to do this thing again. And, again, the boys are rolling. This is another opportunity that we're going to have to make another run at this. And, that was just one of the many stories that I have with my teammates, the confidence that we had as a unit, and, man, what a special team.
I'm sitting here. I've got the mic on mute as you talk, but I'm kind of laughing as you telling that story just about Dansby being locked in, but also like the notion that you actually think you might have a chance to pitch in that game after throwing 100. I mean, like really, you thought Corbin was going to let you in at some point.
I don't know. I've seen him do some crazy things, man. I think that's I think that when it comes down to it, I'm there for the boys. I'm there for the team. You never know what's going to happen, right? You never know if we're going to go into extras. You never know if there's an opportunity for me to go out and get somebody out. You just never know. That's how I'm built as a competitor. It's just he tells me to go warm up, I'm going. This is bottom line. There's no there isn't any days off, and there still isn't with me in my career now. It's always go time, and I think that he knew that I was always going to be ready. But I don't think that he would let me pitch that game. But if there's an opportunity and a chance to, I definitely wanted to be ready for that.
Yeah, I'm going to go out on a limb and say he was not going to let you pitch in that game, but that reminds me of something. He told me this story about you one time. He said that you would get so amped up the night before your starts that you would stay up and do the team laundry. Is that true?
Yeah, I did actually. I had a really good relationship with our equipment manager, Garrett Walker. Very close relationship with him. I remember going to the bottom of the football stadium. I shouldn't say the bottom of the football stadium, but the laundry room in there where Garrett would do a lot of the clothes. And I would stay there till, I don't want to say how late because I just don't want to get in trouble, but I would stay there and help Walker or Garrett. I would help Garrett until it was all complete. I think that, I don't know. I think that everybody was different, right? For me, I can't be cooped up in a room. I at that time, I tried to get my homework done as soon as possible once the assignments were given out, just so I wouldn't have to even mess with that prior to a game. That was my time. I don't know. I think that obviously memories that I've had on the field, memories that I'll have in the locker room, those will all be extremely special to me. But I haven't been back to that laundry room, and I know it sounds really, really bad, but I haven't been back to that laundry room since I left school. And I think if I stepped in there, it'd be very emotional just because of the time that was spent in there with Garrett and, the uncertainty of not knowing how you're going to pitch that next day, when it comes down to it. I think that's I hope the room's still there. I don't know if it is or not. I haven't been back in a few years, but, it's Corbs is right. Garrett helped me through a lot and, was was his best helper on Thursday night. That's for sure.
Now, are you one of these guys that sleeps like 4 hours a night because you just are so ready to get up and go to the next thing?
Yes. It kind of drives my wife a little nuts. I don't sleep. Life's too short. I I obviously need to sleep a little bit, but it doesn't last very long. There's always something to do, with my career and sleep is obviously important, which I get the normal hours pretty much majority of the time, but yeah, it's I would say that's probably one of my biggest issues is not getting the right amount of sleep, but my motor's always rolling. I think that's life's too short. I want to take advantage of every opportunity that I can, and yeah, it's definitely one of my. I'm not very very proud of the hours I get to sleep, but it's not very much.
I'm going to make a prediction here. You guys don't have kids yet, but when you do, you share the feedings every 2 or 3 hours. I think you're going to get more than your share of those once you and your wife get to that point.
Hey, man, as long as I can help her out, that's all that matters. But no, that's I'm looking forward to that opportunity as well. And I think we're a few years away, but when that time comes, I'll be ready to go. I'll be ready to go. That's for sure.
I'm going to ask you a couple more questions about your career, then take a couple from fans quickly, so I can let you go here in a bit. But um, the man, the defining moment of 2015 maybe was that game against Fullerton. You pitched, and Thomas Eshelman is just throwing the game of his life on the other
Of course.
side. The rain comes in. You guys catch a break with that, and then Jaron Kendall walks them off with just a bomb to the alley in right center. What do you remember about that day?
Cool, man. I don't want to say thank God for a rain out, but needed it. I needed that break. I think that Ash, who some of us played with the previous summer as well, when that guy's locked in, it's scary. He doesn't miss at all. I know that he's really famous for only having, I think, like 3 walks or something in a season, but man, he when he's locked in, it's pretty fun to watch. We all knew what he was capable of doing. I think that, I'm not a hitter, but if you talk to Dans or Rennie or Xander, they knew what they were going to be facing. That rain delay was a blessing in disguise for us. Was able to give us an opportunity to kind of take a deep breath and just regroup. And Jaron, I think that he was big for us all year. Again, that was, the Norwood-esque, like the opportunity that we needed a player to step up and produce, and that was him. Jaron, that was probably one of the farther balls I saw at my in my Vandy career from the guys, and he took full advantage of that. So it's a special moment. Those will always replay in your head all the time, and luckily we had Jaron on our team, that's for sure.
Your final game of your college career is that start in game 1 against Virginia. If I remember correctly, you had something like 102-degree temperature. I think you made Tracy Campbell, your trainer, swear to secrecy and not tell Tim you were not going to be denied the ball. And if you guys win that series, that's probably one of the most easily 3 or 4 most memorable performances in the history of Vanderbilt sports. Instead, that kind of gets forgotten because of the way the series ended. But what do you remember about that day, and how sick were you?
Oh man, I was very, very ill. I remember my wife now, my girlfriend at the time. She was in town. Obviously, she went to Omaha and was able to watch. I remember her scrambling out, getting Pedialyte. She can get whatever she can get her hands on to just. I mean, I was in bed. I couldn't move. It was kind of like I don't even know. It was if I had like a bad flu, or we couldn't get it diagnosed. And I would see Tracy on the down low. I'm like, I remember going into her and telling her, "Listen, Tracy, like, just I need something, but please don't tell Corbs. Like, please, like, I will be ready for this game. Don't worry. Like, I will be ready to go." And I remember I'm sitting there, drenched in sweat. And, I remember getting in an Uber with my wife Sabina. I said, "Listen, I gotta get out. I gotta get out of the hotel. I know I can barely walk, but I got to get some fresh air." I remember getting out of the car by the stadium just to walk around and get some fresh air. I remember stepping out of the Uber, taking 5 steps, looking at her, and getting right back in the Uber to go back to the hotel. I remember laying in bed and going, "Listen, like, this is possibly my last game ever. right? This is my last game ever as a Vanderbilt Commodore. Got to pitch. Not only am I going to pitch, I'm going to go for as long as I possibly can. And when it's over with, I'm going to try to put our team in the best chance to win, best situation to win. And I remember taking a full bottle of Pedialyte. I remember chugging it, putting in a bunch of granola ball, whatever I get my hands on, just to have the energy to get back on the bus. And yeah, I didn't. I think Corbs knew. I really did. I think that he knows that if he said something to me, I would not be a happy camper. Would not be. He knew I was going to be ready. I think. I don't know. I think that I remember getting to the stadium. I remember pitching. I remember, sometime when I used to pitch and I still pitch, I don't remember a lot, right? I'm so competitive and there's so many things going through my mind that, I think that, I don't really soak in the full moment, but that opportunity, that game, I remember like it was yesterday. Wow. What an opportunity for me to put our team in the best position to win. I think that, I had the support of all my teammates, like every game, just every game. It was just the same stuff. But I know that Corbs obviously did a really nice gesture at the end of that game. Being able to walk off. I mean, I'm getting emotional even talking about it now, and it's been, quite a while, but I have nothing respect for my teammates. I have nothing respect for, above respect for Coach Corbin and the coaching staff, our fans who drove out there. Like, wow, wow. I'm speechless. Definitely a moment I'll never forget. Luckily, it was caught on tape. So every once in a while I can watch it just to bring back that memory. And yeah, wow. It was what a time. I don't know. What a great couple years it was playing there at Vandy. It's just unforgettable.
Carson, I've got a couple of questions for fans before we end the podcast, if that's cool.
Of course. Yeah, whatever you need.
Our mailbag is sponsored by Vanderbilt fan Josh Minton, an independent insurance agent operating out of Brentwood. He can take care of all your insurance needs. Call him today, 615-933-1979. Email him at josh@hqinsurance.com. Follow him on Twitter at Joshua Minton HQ or at facebook.com/JD Minton HQ. He's my insurance agent. Give him a try. Tell him you heard about it here. Golden Parachute says, what makes Tim Corbin so special, and can you give an example?
Oh, man. Where to start? I'll just start off saying, I had an unbelievable dad growing up. He's quite old now, and I think that he'll be a little upset in telling people that. But, a military man who, ran a household that, it was yes sir, no ma'am. It was yes ma'am, no ma'am, yes sir, no sir, excuse me, household. Academics were very high, across the board, right? I got to give my credit to my dad, but I always joke around, and when people ask me about Corbs, how he's doing, and, a couple of guys I'm really close with in professional baseball now, they always ask me, hey, how's your second dad doing? And he is. I mean, by far, unbelievable guy. I mean, I can't even, and I'm probably saying the same things that people all across the U.S. would say. Built me as a man, challenged me in places that I never thought I would be challenged. I've always been competitive, but, he pushed me to get the most out of my, inner competitiveness, pushed me in the classroom. I don't know. I could talk for hours and days about the type of guy and how much he's influenced me, but, I owe him a lot. There was some stuff that, I kind of don't want to talk about, but off the field that he's helped me with, always been there for me. With talking about Corbs, you have to mention Maggie. She's unbelievable. They're definitely, the definition of a power couple. I don't know. I could go on and on about him, but he is a very, very special man. Me personally, I think that he'll go down as the best college baseball coach of all time. Without a doubt, 100%. I don't know that a lot of my teammates, a lot of guys that played in the past and will, get the fortunate opportunity to playing under him, hopefully soon. What a decision I made, what a culture and what a, I don't know, organization he's built. I mean, wow, to even be just one guy and all the guys that he's ever had, and you take all the accomplishments, you take all that stuff out of it. I'm fortunate to have gone there, to have the opportunity to play under him. Unbelievable. Like I said, I'm probably being extremely repetitive, but I have nothing but love and respect for him and his family. And again, changed my life completely. He's a centerpiece to what I'm going through right now, and that's playing Major League Baseball. I mean, I still just give him all the credit in my career.
Did you get a chance to watch last season and winning it all, the run in Omaha? How much of that did you get to see, and what's going through your head as you're watching Tim Corbin lead that much through all that?
The same guy I had when I was there, his demeanor, his spirit. I think that he talks about his players and, in terms of their spirit. He's a god. I mean, I don't think he'd like me saying that because of how humble he is, but wow, he's a god. I mean, I don't know when it comes down to it, he's by far the best to ever do it. Me personally, I know you have the Woodens and you have all these coaches in college sports, right, that are just extremely famous and well known. I think that he should surpass every single one of them. I think that if you spend enough time around him, I think that you'll kind of get that feeling. But wow, I think that's really, I mean, I know that's a strong statement for me to say that he belongs to the very top of any college coach ever, but I truly mean it. I think that the time he puts in, the motor he has, it's talking about a guy that doesn't sleep. I mean, guy sleeps in his baseball uniform for a weekend series and I don't know. I mean, it's the best to ever do it, hands down. End of story.
Universe says, do you have any funny or interesting stories from your time at Vanderbilt about teammates or coaches that would give us insight into their personalities?
Oh man, I gotta watch what I say because I want it to be obviously censored and respectful. But man, I honestly, I think when it comes down to it, the biggest memory I have was obviously my roommates and the times we had and, the road trips and everything. But I remember like it was yesterday, my first time I met the group that I was going to be playing with for those 3 years, and that was I went to summer school early. I was there by myself. I wanted to get some hours in, so it would be a little easier on the back end when I left. And I remember finishing that semester and going, okay, I kind of have a good feel of campus, but I want to get to know my teammates, right? We're the guys that are going to be. So I remember going home for a week, coming back for my first fall semester, and I was staying at a hotel with my mom. And at that time, I kind of started developing a relationship with Rhett Wyman, playing with him, knew that I was going to be rooming with him prior to going. But I remember staying at a hotel just down the street from campus. And I remember, and if you don't know Walker Buehler, just, it's pretty self-explanatory, right? He's a very interesting individual, one of my best friends. But I didn't know. I heard a lot about Walker, but I didn't really know. So I remember staying at the hotel. Rhett calls me and goes, "Hey man, I'm gonna come by. I'm gonna swing by. I want to come say hello." I said, "Okay, please, like, come on." Comes over, opens the door. He goes, "Hey man, listen, like, we're gonna go try to find some of the guys. Let's go, right? Like, I want to get to meet them." So I remember walking out, and we get a text message from Walker. Rhett and I do, and with both phones ring, and the elevator coming down. Walker goes, "Hey man, I'm here. I'm right outside. Let's go." And I've never met this guy before. I'm thinking like, wow, this guy's like extremely comfortable. Like, I don't like this is, like I want to kind of meet this guy first. So I remember the elevator opening. We Walker's right in front of the elevator, arms open, just as loud as can possibly be. "Hey, let's go. Like, we need to do this, right? We need to go out and grab some food." And I remember we gathered up a couple more guys, and I remember all of us going to that Chili's down the street. And first night on campus, there was 4 or 5 of us there. Like, we've known each other for 5 years. I remember walking back as a group to the hotel. Luckily, some of us were staying there, and knowing, man, this is really special. I've never experienced like something like this before. All I know is, my high school team, right? I'm so young. I'm new to this. This is it. But man, this is going to be something special. And, again, if you guys don't know Walker very well, I would strongly urge you get to know him. He's one of a kind, and a guy that, I'll always remember, being there for me. So I have a ton of stories. I have to be censored. I have to make sure that I'm not saying the wrong thing, but the list goes on and on. It's that first moment really stuck out to me, though.
Well, I dealt with you a lot more than I did with Walker, but just reading some of the interviews and things he's done since his stock has risen in the pros, he's a pretty intense guy, it seems to me. I still remember this. I think the closest I ever felt I was going to see one of Tim Corbin's teams get in a fight. I remember the Florida series was always chippy, and it was the 2015 series, I think, at Hawkins Field that I saw Walker. I thought at one point he looked like he wanted to punch somebody in the Florida dugout. So that's kind of my impression of the guy.
He's again, one of a kind. I mean, just to say it, we were inseparable. My years there. One of my groomsmen in my wedding. I talked to him a couple times a week, either through text or a call. I roomed with him last year, and he's been I'm very fortunate to have him as a friend. He's helped me through a lot as well. I think that he's an incredible athlete. Obviously, he's a dominant pitcher. I mean, he's one of a kind, but I think that one thing that really, there's a reason why he's so good. That's his competitiveness, he's never satisfied. And I think that that's a trait that is very hard to find. I think that, people can get very comfortable and just satisfied with how they're doing it. Right. But for him, he's a special breed. He's one when it comes down to it, he's my pitching coach. Like, I'm going to come out and say that. He's helped me. I've had some issues in the past couple of years. He's helped me through that. I don't know. I think that I'm not surprised that he's doing what he's doing now. I think that we all knew he was a special talent, but doesn't surprise me at all. And I'm very, very happy for him and what he's doing. But I could see that. I could see that from his competitive side. That's for sure.
Carson, I've kept you longer than I intended. Let me just get two more quick ones out of the way, and that'll get you out of here. ATL 14 Straight says, did you ever apologize to A.J. Reed for making him look so silly?
Actually, this is a pretty funny story. Obviously I had a ton of respect for him playing against him, but I remember walking into the clubhouse last year in Chicago, and the night before, let me rewind. The night before, I'm not a very big Twitter guy at all. Social media for me, I am not very active on it. I have a lot of stuff going on. You know what I mean? It's just not my top priority. But I remember getting a text from one of my teammates in Charlotte from the previous year, and he goes, "Hey, your boy's going to be in town." I'm like, "My boy? What do you mean, my boy? What do you mean?" He goes, "Oh, AJ Reed will be. He just got DFA'd and claimed by the White Sox." And I'm like, "Oh no!" Right? Like, I've never met this guy before. Like, I don't know the personality that he is. You know what I mean? Like, I know a lot of people talk about that at bat, but like, man, he's gonna be in the clubhouse. Like, I get along with a lot of people, and I'm not really afraid to talk to anybody. But I'm like, all right, well, here's the opportunity. And sure enough, I walk in the next day. I walk in the clubhouse, and guess who is my locker mate? AJ Reed. So I sit down and I make eye contact with him, and I just start laughing. I'm like, because he knows exactly what this is going to be the icebreaker, right? Like, why this would be an unbelievable, icebreaker. And so I remember him getting his phone out, and he goes, "Hey man, we have to do this." So I'm like, okay. Takes a selfie of him and I, and he played with Tony Kemp with the Astros. And I remember him texting Tony Kemp and going, "Hey, I'm sitting by your boy. This is great." And I just remember Tony just going, "Oh man, like, how many times have you guys talked about it, that at bat?" Well, so I think, he took it very well. He's a great guy, a great personality. It's just, if there was one way to settle that was definitely the way to do it. So, I'm very, very fortunate that he was a good sport about that, for sure.
All right, last one. How have you gone about your strength and training and pitching workouts during the coronavirus outbreak?
It's been tough. Once we got the news a couple weeks ago, again, I don't sleep very well, so my wife and I hopped in the car from Arizona and drove back home to Seattle. I gotta talk about my mother-in-law. She's a doctor. She is in the middle of all this, all this tragedy. I have so much respect for her and what she's doing. But we were kind of prepared before we left. I was able to make some changes to my house, supply myself with, the essential weights and bands. And I love the weighted ball, so I have a weighted ball unit in the back of my house. All that. I was pretty prepared for something to happen, and with me, I don't stop, and I feel like there's always something to do, especially with owning a house now. So I was very very prepared for this. I've been doing a lot of in-home stuff. I haven't been getting out very much, but I have a great neighborhood that I like to run in. You know, I have the opportunity to do all the stuff I need to do at the field here. I think the only thing really missing is getting out and throwing those bullpens. But I've been trying to get out, you know, a week, once a week or so, twice a week to get a good bullpen session in under good circumstances. But yeah, I'm not worried about it. I had a great spring. It's definitely been very motivated to get things going on the right foot this year, and you know, I made sure that I have everything at my house.
Hey, Carson, I really appreciate your generosity with your time and all the stories. I think people, if they've heard this now, can understand why I enjoyed covering you so much. I want to wish you the best of luck as you guys get through these times, and also the best of luck as you pitch for the White Sox this year. I know my son and I will be eager to follow you. We've got the MLB package and are going to look forward to seeing you pitch for the White Sox this year.
Yes, sir. No, I really appreciate this. I know I'm going to be back to campus soon. I know that Vanderbilt holds a special place in my heart. I'll be back in town. I'd love to see you guys. And again, I really appreciate this opportunity.
He is Carson Fulmer. I'm Chris Lee. Thank you for listening to the Vandy Sports Podcast.